Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Explainer. Today, we're diving into the fascinating mechanics, the massive ambition, and honestly, the very real growing pains of a huge educational initiative. We're dissecting the anatomy of a pivot, the 2026 Google Skills Arcade. To really get why this matters, you have to look at the sheer scale of the playing field right now. We're talking about a global cloud computing market projected to explode past $2.2 trillion by 2030. That kind of exponential growth requires an absolute army of highly skilled technical professionals, and right now, there just aren't enough of them to go around. Here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with bridging the cloud talent gap, then look inside the arcade point system, discuss the 2026 structural learning pivot, explore guiding learners via facilitator networks, break down the global logistics and community backlash, and finally, look at fixing the gamified learning model. All right, kicking things off with Section 1, Bridging the Cloud Talent Gap, Preparing Professionals for the Future. To understand the drive behind the Google Skills Arcade, we just need to look at the stakes. $135,000. That is the median annual salary for entry-level cloud security roles today. That's massive. And in the United States alone, there are over 505,000 open tech jobs in this specific sector. The demand is completely staggering. So you can definitely see why a program promising to teach these lucrative skills for absolutely free is incredibly desirable to students and developers alike. So what exactly is the Google Skills Arcade? Well, it's a gamified educational ecosystem. But here's the really crucial part. This isn't just a toy sandbox simulation. The arcade actually provisions real Google Cloud Platform credentials to its users. You get genuine, real-world cloud environments where you can configure and manage active infrastructure. For student developers, this means getting 200 free learning credits valid for a year, literally converting textbook theory into hands-on, practical competency. Moving right along to Section 2, Inside the Arcade Point System, the mechanics of the game. To keep learners motivated to tackle these really complex architectures, the program relies on a strict quantitative system. It all boils down to a literal mathematical formula to earn arcade points, which can eventually be redeemed for physical rewards. Standard game badges, those get you 1 point. Trivia badges, also 1 point. But skill badges require a bit more grinding. You actually have to complete 2 of them just to earn a single arcade point. Throw in some bonus points for hitting facilitator milestones, and you've got your total. And just a quick note, these points are locked to your specific public profile, so you can't merge or transfer them. Now, when you put physical prizes on the line, people are inevitably going to try to game the system. To protect the platform from automated abuse, administrators set up some serious guardrails. There's a strict hard limit. You can only do a maximum of 15 labs within any rolling 24-hour window. Hit that cap, and you're locked out until the dynamic rate recovery kicks in, feeding you 1 new attempt every 2 hours. Plus, returning participants actually have to register with a completely fresh Google account at the start of each cohort. They want you learning new configurations, not just recycling your old work. Which brings us to Section 3, the 2026 Structural Learning Pivot, Shifting the Pedagogical Paradigm. Even with those guardrails, by early 2026, administrators realized the gamification was honestly working a little too well. The old mentality was basically dominated by checklist-driven speedrunning. Users were just flying through high volumes of labs to maximize points without really absorbing the core concepts. So, in April 2026, Google executed a massive structural pivot. They completely discontinued the high-intensity sprints and the certification zone. The new mentality is entirely focused on deep conceptual comprehension. They officially adopted a less rushing, more crushing philosophy, intentionally reducing the number of labs per game so learners actually have the time to experiment and troubleshoot what they're building. Let's dive into Section 4, Guiding Learners via Facilitator Networks, the human element of scale. When you're forced to slow down and tackle the hard stuff, you naturally need more help. To support this deeper learning, Google relies on their Arcade Facilitator program. These are peer mentors who guide learners through intense labs, like deploying complex Kubernetes networks or building AI-driven tools. But it's not easy. These facilitators operate under intense constraints. They're given a strict 600 credit budget that has to last them 6 months. They have to carefully map out learning journeys across 4 major milestones from beginner to ultimate, all while making sure they don't run out of credits. Plus, they have to adhere to an enforced code of conduct that strictly bans any sort of technical deception. All right, on to Section 5, Global Logistics and Community Backlash, Friction in the System. Scaling a global gamified education platform that blends digital tasks with physical rewards is incredibly messy. First off, you have the technical friction. As the labs shifted to more advanced AI environments, the automated grading systems seriously struggled. Take forum user Kareem Daniel, for example. In May 2026, he noted that despite perfectly building a shopping agent and applying coding techniques correctly, the automated grader absurdly gave him a 0 out of 100 every single time. Imagine putting in all that genuine effort, doing the work perfectly, and the system just fails you due to a verification bug. Super frustrating.
And while digital education can instantly scale across borders, physical supply chain logistics absolutely do not. The geographic disparities here are massive. You've got fully supported regions like the US and Western Europe enjoying seamless delivery of rewards. Then you have legally embargoed regions completely excluded due to international sanctions. But the real friction lies in the logistically restricted regions, places like Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Iraq. Learners there can complete the exact same demanding coursework, but because of persistent local shipping bottlenecks and high import duties, they are completely ineligible for the physical rewards that motivated the whole experience in the first place.
To try and manage these compounding logistical headaches, the administration dropped a major announcement in April 2026. Addressing those global shipping constraints, they posted this very upbeat, matter-of-fact message stating they were detouring from the usual mid-year price counter and instead moving to a single, unified price counter opening at the very end of the year. From an administrative standpoint, the goal made sense: coordinate bulk shipments globally and actually improve delivery rates.
But the community impact? It was severe. Users had been grinding these labs since January, fully assuming they'd get a mid-year payout. This quote from forum user Ricky_Shehi1 perfectly captures the emotional whiplash. Truly disappointed, no more motivation to learn after hearing this news. Participants felt like the rules had been completely changed right in the middle of the game, which highlighted this huge disconnect between administrative logistics and actual learner motivation.
Which leads us to our final section, Section 6, Fixing the Gamified Learning Model, Actionable Solutions for the Future.
So, looking at the fallout of that 2026 pivot, 4 strategic fixes really emerged to help rebuild trust. First, introduce digital reward alternatives, like highly valuable cloud certification vouchers, specifically for those logistically restricted regions. That totally bypasses the need for physical swag. Second, implement manual validation safeguards, basically allowing facilitators to step in and verify completion when the automated AI grader hilariously fails on a correct lab. Third, integrate unrewarded self-evaluation quizzes to test real conceptual knowledge without incentivizing people to just point farm. And finally, create a direct in-platform feedback loop so participants can instantly report bugs and suggest updates. The 2026 Google Skills Arcade pivot is such a fascinating case study because it shows us that while we can instantly distribute world-class digital education, we are still so bound by the heavy friction of the physical world. And it leaves us with this really vital question to reflect on. Can global tech education scale fairly when digital learning completely outpaces physical logistics? As we continue to bridge that massive cloud talent gap, finding the answer to that question is going to define the very future of gamified education. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep learning.